A man covered in blood is stumbling through an empty office building. He's running for his life inside the deserted office tower. Clutching his wound, he desperately calls for help toward people outside the window. A bus happens to pass by on the street below. A woman on the bus sees what's happening. She picks up her phone but doesn't call the police because she thinks it's just a movie shoot. No one would ever suspect that this stylish, calm-looking woman is actually a killer. Even more disturbing, this isn't a crime of impulse, and it's not revenge against an enemy. She's simply fulfilling a contract killing. Panicked, the man asks her why she's doing this. Villanelle simply replies coldly and casually,
I have absolutely no idea.
That emotionless answer is what makes it truly chilling. For Villanelle, killing doesn't always need a reason. What matters is watching the prey fall in front of her. But this time, after the kill, she feels no excitement, no pride. She just sits there alone. Her eyes carry an unexplainable emptiness, as if nothing in this world can ever satisfy her for long. While Villanelle continues her killings across Europe, back in London, Eve's life is completely turned upside down. After investigating a murder at the hospital without permission, she loses her job. That's when Carolyn comes looking for her. They meet at a small breakfast cafe. The moment she sits down, Carolyn pulls out Eve's private investigation files. All of it is about the mysterious female assassin. Eve is stunned. None of this was supposed to be seen by anyone. Carolyn doesn't scold her. Instead, she's intrigued. Why would an ordinary intelligence analyst start tracking an unofficial case like this? At first, Eve tries to explain, but as she talks, she can't hide it anymore.
I believe there is a female assassin operating internationally, and she's targeted a number of influential people. She is outsmarting the smartest of us, and for that she deserves to do or kill whoever the hell she wants. I mean, if she's not killing me, then frankly it's not my job to care anymore.
This only confirms Carolyn's suspicion. Eve may be the best person to track Villanelle. Carolyn takes Eve to an old, rundown building. From the outside, it looks completely unremarkable. But inside, the walls are covered with murder cases from around the world. Photos, maps, timelines, victim profiles. Carolyn has connected all these scattered cases onto a single wall. Looking at it all, Eve realizes she's not crazy. Her instincts might actually be right. There really is a female assassin operating across countries, and Carolyn wants Eve to take charge of the investigation. But it's far from an official or respectable assignment. No formal title, no nice office, no promotions, no benefits. If anything goes wrong, the government may even deny this unit ever existed. But none of that matters to Eve, because now she can finally pursue the killer openly. Carolyn also introduces a hacker named Kenny. He looks ordinary, but can uncover hidden data in seconds. If it exists in any system, he can dig it up. But one person isn't enough. Eve needs a full team. The next day, Bill shows up. Her old partner acts reluctant, but still comes. He knows Eve is stepping into something dangerous, but he chooses to follow her anyway. Another colleague, Elena, also quits her job and joins the new team. A loosely assembled secret task force is officially formed. They have no official status, but they now share one goal: find the female assassin. Meanwhile, back in Paris, Villanelle is confronted by a furious Constantine. She was supposed to eliminate the target as planned. The scene was meant to look like a suicide, but she killed not only the target, but several others as well. A clean assassination job turned into a multi-victim killing spree. This isn't incompetence, it's loss of control. What Constantine fears most is that she treats killing like a game. So this time, he sends her for a psychological evaluation. Villanelle doesn't take it seriously at all. She shows up in a bright pink dress, like she's going to a party. A psychologist shows her images to test her reactions. Most people would try to cooperate, but Villanelle treats it like a game. She jokes, teases, even mocks the doctor's appearance. On the surface, she seems relaxed, confident, and unbothered. She could easily fool most people. Then the doctor shows her a drawing. As soon as she sees the image of a woman with wild, explosive hair, Villanelle's expression immediately changes.
That's not Anna.
This is a secret she has buried deep inside. In that moment, she can no longer maintain her playful smile. She is visibly shaken. This proves she does have emotions. But emotions like pain, empathy, love, and fear don't function in her in a normal way. But when something from her past is triggered, she still loses control. Because of this reaction, she fails the evaluation. Constantine decides to suspend her from assignments. But Villanelle hates being controlled more than anything. She pretends to be upset and hugs Constantine, like a child seeking comfort after getting in trouble. But in the next second, she secretly steals a mission file from his pocket. Back home, her neighbor Sebastian knocks on her door. It's obvious the young man has a crush on her. He noticed her bruises and brought her medicine, and asks what happened. For a normal person, this would feel like the beginning of romance. But for Villanelle, the boy is more like a new toy to her. She understands why people are drawn to her, and can imitate intimacy convincingly, but she struggles to genuinely feel love. Villanelle performs emotions. So when Sebastian gets closer to her, she isn't moved by romance. She's more like she's triggered by something inside her. It excites her, and also makes her dangerous. So after they sleep together, Villanelle even briefly considers killing him. This time, she manages to hold back. But from the moment Sebastian falls for her, his fate is already sealed as a tragedy. After leaving his apartment, Villanelle throws all her restless energy into her next assignment. She puts on a gas mask and carefully prepares a toxin. This time, her weapon isn't a knife or a gun. It's a bottle of perfume. She mixes a lethal agent into the perfume, then picks out a wig, a trench coat, and a hotel staff uniform. By the time Villanelle shows up again, she's already a completely different person. She's just a normal waitress now, so ordinary you wouldn't even remember her face. Carrying a bottle, Villanelle slips into a corporate gala. Her target this time is a major political donor. The venue is crowded, with heavy security everywhere. But Villanelle isn't in a hurry. She stands in the crowd, calmly watching her target. Eventually, Tara gets up and heads to the restroom. Villanelle immediately follows her. A guard stops her at the door, so she claims she's delivering sanitary products. A simple excuse is enough to get past him. Inside the restroom, Villanelle sees Tara fixing her makeup. There are other people inside. She doesn't rush. Instead, she stands at the mirror, fixing her hair and waiting patiently. Once it's just the two of them, she immediately switches personas. Pretending to be a devoted fan of Tara, she pulls out her custom-made perfume, telling her it's a fragrance named after her, saying she just wants Tara's opinion. Tara doesn't suspect anything, because vanity is always the easiest weakness to exploit. When someone hears they're admired and praised, their guard naturally drops. Tara happily sprays the perfume on herself. At first, she only coughs slightly, but soon her breathing becomes shallow, and her face flushes red. It's as if an invisible hand is tightening around her throat. Villanelle just stands there watching. No panic, no attempt to help, only a calm, almost artistic satisfaction. Her methods change every time, but the core is always the same. She doesn't enjoy death itself. She enjoys those few minutes of total control over someone's life. Meanwhile in London, Eve's investigation team finally gets to work. Excited, she stands in front of the evidence wall, explaining the case to Bill, Elena, and Kenny. She's convinced all these international murders are connected to one woman, but Bill quickly shuts her down. No direct evidence, no clear footage, no consistent method, saying it's not an investigation if it's only based on intuition. That immediately drains Eve's excitement. Because Bill is right. What Eve lacks most is proof. She can feel the killer is out there, but she can't turn that feeling into hard evidence. Frustrated, she goes into the bathroom to calm down. She stares at herself in the mirror, grabbing her messy curls. And in that moment, a detail she had ignored suddenly flashes back. In the hospital restroom, a strange woman once approached her and told her to let her hair down. Back then, Eve just thought she was odd, but now the timing seems too perfect. She was too calm, too much like someone who could walk out of a crime scene untouched. Eve suddenly realizes she might not be chasing a ghost. She may have already stood face to face with Villanelle. At that thought, Eve rushes back to the office. She tells Kenny to pull hospital surveillance footage, check nurse records, cross-reference everyone who could have been there. She even tells Elena excitedly that she may have seen the killer herself. There's fear in her excitement. But beneath that fear is something even more dangerous. She doesn't just want to catch Villanelle, she wants to understand what Villanelle really is. Meanwhile, Villanelle has just returned home when Constantine shows up. He grabs her by the neck, demanding why she acted on her own, because now someone is watching her. He tells her a task force is being formed in London to investigate her, led by someone named Eve Polastri. Hearing the name, Villanelle doesn't react at first, but then she realizes, this just got interesting. While they argue, Sebastian suddenly knocks. Villanelle instantly puts on a smile, introducing Constantine as her brother. Sebastian thinks this means their relationship is getting closer, not realizing he's walked into a killer and handler meeting. Before leaving, he takes the bottle of toxic perfume from the table. Constantine insists they can't leave a loose end. He orders Villanelle to take care of the boy. She complains he doesn't trust her, while already picking up a knife. But before she leaves, a dull thud is heard outside. They open the door. Sebastian is already on the ground. He wasn't killed by Villanelle. He dies from the toxic perfume he accidentally took. After Constantine leaves, Villanelle opens her laptop and searches for information on Eve. Eve is also going through photos of hospital staff. The two women, on opposite sides of a screen, are hunting each other's shadows. Soon, Villanelle sees Eve's photo. For the first time, her expression shifts, because she recognizes her. The woman investigating her is the curly-haired woman from the hospital restroom. At the same time, Eve is getting closer to the memory she once dismissed. From this moment on, the hunt is no longer just a hunt. Eve remembers the woman from the hospital. Villanelle now knows the name of the woman chasing her, but neither of them realizes the real danger isn't the case itself. It's the fact that they're becoming intrigued by each other. This is what makes killing Eve truly dangerous. It's not a simple story of good versus evil. It's what happens when someone bound by rules meets someone who ignores them completely. Eve wants to catch Villanelle, and Villanelle wants to understand Eve. One reaches out from order, the other looks back from the abyss. From this moment on, the line between hunter and prey begins to blur. And in the next episode, Eve's team follows the trail to Berlin. She thinks she's one step closer to the truth, but she has no idea Villanelle is already there too. And worse, Villanelle isn't running. She's starting to become curious about Eve. Meanwhile, Bill also picks up Villanelle's trail. He thinks he's tracking the killer, but what he doesn't realize is that the moment he follows her, he's already become the prey.